This segment's being sponsored by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. Join us in preserving and protecting Tennessee's wildlife.
When we're getting ready to head to the water, we all make sure that we have plenty of lures in our tackle box because we know that that fish may not like the color, the style, the smell, or the action of the lure. So we'll keep changing till we find the one that he bites. It's called the art of temptation. And you know, every day we face temptation as well. And I can assure you, the devil has plenty of lures in his tackle box. And he's not going to give up until he finds the right one. In the book of Matthew, chapter 4, it tells us a story about Jesus one day going and spending some time alone. And then Satan showed up to tempt Jesus 3 different times. And each time Jesus refused the temptation by quoting Scripture. And through this, Jesus tells us that that's the way that we can defeat the temptation as well, by knowing Scripture and quoting it to the temptation. In Psalm 119:11, David says, "I'll hide thy words in my heart, that I may not sin against you." So my challenge for you this week is this. Take a Bible verse and each week memorize a new one. Hide it in your heart. As you never know, the verse that you memorize this week may be the one that rescues you next week. Thanks for watching again this week. Our prayers are continuing to be with you. And as always, keep shooting straight.
All right, welcome back to the studio. Really glad to have Pastor Tim be able to give us another message tonight. They've been without power up there for several weeks where he lives, so he's been unable to send us one, so that's why you guys have been missing that. Tell you what, you guys can give us a call here, 615-737-7767. If you have any questions for myself or Dude while we're in here tonight, go ahead and give us a shout. We'd love to take your call. Dude, while we're waiting on some of these calls, I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about crappie fishing for a minute. You were saying it's getting to be that time of year, your time of year. Crappie are coming off a bed and they're eating, they're hungry and they're eating.
They are.
What are you using to kind of get after them right now? I mean, are you deep? Are they more shallow? Are you jigging? What are you doing?
Today they were 12 to 15 feet deep. Bigger fish seem to be just a little bit deeper than the other fish. Catching a lot of 10.5, 11-inch crappie. I use crappie magnets 90% of the time, probably 95% of the time, various colors, and so I'm strictly a jig fisherman. I never use minnows. It's just a rare occasion. If you ever see me with a minnow on my jig, you know I'm hurting.
You really trying to put one in the boat, ain't you?
Yeah.
You using a 1/16 ounce or?
Well, it depends a lot on the depth of fish. What it seems like sometimes they want a heavier head, 1/8 ounce, that sinks a little bit faster. Sometimes they want a light head. Right now the fish are suspended over the structure. They're not down in it like they are in the wintertime. And so I when I'm fishing over the top of structure, I generally use a lighter bait where it doesn't get down in the structure to hang like that. And a lot of my fish today came from swimming it over the top of the structure rather than down in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, we've already got a caller here. Johnny, how are you doing tonight?
How you doing, Brandon?
Doing great. Thank you for calling.
I love your show, man.
I appreciate it.
That dude right there, how deep in that water where y'all fishing them hivers are?
We were fishing that day. We were fishing about anywhere from 24 to 29 feet deep.
Yeah, I know how some Plank Bridge is too over there. So.
And they were they at the bottom?
They were that particular day. They were on the bottom. You couldn't catch a fish unless you were on the bottom. Yeah. And Roy always seems this time of year, and I'm just speaking from what I've heard him talk. That
well, I've been catching a lot of catfish. How I get my pictures on your Facebook?
Just shoot them to us on Facebook Messenger, or you can post them as a visitor, either one.
Okay, I've been catching a lot of catfish on hickory and stuff like that. You know, I went today, caught 12.
Yeah, Old Hickory's turning on. I got a good report from another buddy of mine on Old Hickory today. Catfishing, same thing. They've been having some good days starting about a week ago. They've started doing pretty well.
How about them shack cracker? How you doing them shack crackers?
Well, I have not been after him yet. Dayton has been after him, and he has done very, very well with them about the last week. They have wore him out. I don't think he's been at the steam plant, but he's on Old Hickory. I don't believe he's been at the steam plant at all. The last I heard, the steam plant's not running any water this year. Nobody's had any water running out of it from the people I know that's been up there. Now that might have changed yesterday for all I know, but the last information I got, there was no water coming out of it.
Right. All right, man. I like the show, stuff like that. Because,
Yeah, I appreciate it very much.
How's your dad doing?
He's doing well. He's doing well. He's ready to get out and do some fishing too.
So, all right, buddy. Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right, bye.
Yeah, I noticed that day that you and Roy talking back and forth, he had said several times on the bottom, get them on the bottom.
Well, like he said, I don't know if they're down there spawning that time of year, but you can't hardly buy a fish suspended during a certain time of the year. You have to be right on the bottom. Now, the other day he went and told me that he couldn't catch them straight on the bottom. He had to throw his bait, cast it out from the boat, and that's the way he caught it on the day. So like I say, he's very versatile.
Yeah.
I mean, you do whatever you have to do. I guess that's a beauty of fishing, of any kind of fishing. Every day is a challenge.
Yeah.
Because Roy's favorite saying, dude, every day is a different day. And it is so true, because you go out there and catch a limit of fish today. Now I'll give you a prime example. Last week I limited out 3 days in a row. First day it took me 7 hours, 7.5 hours, and I used a particular bait. The next day I couldn't go back, wait till get back out there again. It took me 7 hours. Okay, cut it down a little bit. Couldn't buy a fish on what I'd caught them on the previous day. I went back the next day, in 3 hours I had a limit, and didn't catch anything on what I'd caught them on the 2 previous days.
Yeah.
It's a challenge every day you go. I guess that's why everybody says, well, dude, don't you get tired going fishing? I said, well, don't you never think that if I got tired, I'd quit?
Yeah, that's right.
I'd start playing golf or something, but it's a challenge. Every day is a challenge.
It is.
So that's why I enjoy going fishing, because it's a challenge to it.
It is. A lot of switching up, and it pays off. We have Chris on one here. Chris, how are you doing tonight?
What?
Chris?
Yes.
How are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you, brother?
Doing well. I appreciate you calling. How can we help you tonight?
Chris, how are you doing tonight? Man, I'm doing great. I run Two Rivers Forward out in Mount Juliet.
Yeah.
I'm good, man. How you got me there?
Yeah, I do. You might not turn your TV down. Get a little bit of feedback.
All right. I just I turned on your show.
Yeah.
I run Two Rivers Forward. Me and Mickey Beck run the Two Rivers boats, and I saw that legend sitting beside you, old Maddox. He's one of my customers and very respected man. I love him to death. But I just want you guys that are watching to realize what a legend that gentleman is right beside you, and how probably one of the best fishermen there is in Middle Tennessee.
He is.
Y'all go ahead.
Yeah, well, appreciate the word. Thank you for calling, Chris.
Thank you, brother. Y'all have a good night.
You too. Well, that always make you feel good, won't it?
Well, some people you don't even pay no attention to.
Yeah, right. Well, you've been doing this a long time,
Chris
dude.
is a good guy.
You've been doing this a long time. So
Been at it a while. Yes, I have.
We're going to get into a little bit more of that in the next segment. Got some more tips and things coming up for you guys. Right now, we're going to go over and do this week's tip of the week. This week's tip of the week is being brought to you by Phoenix Custom Quality Rods. Y'all can find them at phoenixrods.com, but right here in the state of Tennessee, call Jim Brewer at 931-213-1455 and let him get a Phoenix in your hand today. Well, dude, we're fixing to go over and visit with Mr. Roy at the fish cleaning station for our tip of the week.
Good old.
Set him right down. He can just take that knife, see, and I just follow. All I'm doing is following the ribs right down through there. I get beyond the ribs, turn it over. We bake a bunch, but they're good baked, fried. Hey, here's a little tricky spot. You want all the dark off of it. See, I just hold that knife up about 1/8 of an inch off the skin. And hold it. You cut him down to the skin, all you got's a bunch of dark meat on it. Get belly, stuff a little.
So the dark meat's not as good then.
That makes them strong.
Oh, okay.
All for the fishy. You leave that on. You don't want dark meat on tea.
All right, good little tip there. You want to get that dark meat off of there. Guys, we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, I'll be right back with Mr. Dude Maddox and some more Southern Wisdom Waters.